Hi, everyone. Welcome to our session. Today's session is on Chekitana, the spiritual memory, which is also an archer that helps the Pandavas overcome the Kauravas, which is what the Mahabharata is about. To a large extent, that is what the Bhagwad Gita is about. So, what we are doing is we are going step by step through the shlokas and through the understanding of the characters so that we can understand how to bring the Bhagwad Gita into our life, into our daily practice. And of course, since we come from the school of Pranic Healing and Arhatic Yoga by Master CHOA Kok Sui, we are using techniques and understandings from Master CHOA Kok Sui's works to understand the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so welcome, and we'll just get started. Okay, so today's session is about a character called Chekitana. So in the book, God Talks with Arjuna by Paramhans Yoganandaji, he talks about, he kind of renames the characters with what he thinks they're supposed to represent. So he calls Chekitana Smriti, Smriti or spiritual memory. Okay, so we're going to try to understand what is the role of spiritual memory in the practice in our lives, right? So again, this is a book study practice. The reason I'm saying this is because the idea is for us to study and learn together and to, of course, combine the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and the energy teachings from Master CHOA Kok Sui to bring the Bhagavad Gita into our daily practice. So starting with Chekitana. So Chekitana is spiritual memory, like we said. Now, memory is, there is divine memory and there is human memory. Now, when we do get into spiritual practice, we also are often told that there is memory across many, many incarnations also. So we may have memories from previous incarnations, which makes sense to some extent, because I don't know if you've heard, but sometimes you have children from the same parents, but they both have very different characteristics and they respond very differently to the environment. So there is something in our memory, in our consciousness, that causes us to behave in certain ways. So to me, spiritual memory has many. So first we'll talk about memory. So there's physical memory, of course, just remembering things. Of course, we are aware that in modern times we have ailments like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, which again, with pranic healing, we can definitely help to slow the degeneration. I assume it's possible to also reverse it, assuming that we understand and diagnose it properly in the beginning. Okay, so we have healings for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. That was in the context of memory. So moving on, so that's physical memory. Then there's emotional memory, right? Emotional memory is, let's say, for example, one fine day I ate, I don't know, maybe I overate a lot of puchka, pani puri, and I had a bad stomach. And then what happens is every time I see it, it makes me feel sick, for example, okay, or any other food item. So that evokes certain emotions in me, right? And then, of course, combined with that is the thought that if I eat this particular item, then I tend to fall sick or whatever it is. There are also memories and thoughts associated with people. So what is the relevance of all of this in this particular context? The relevance is that a lot of this gets stored in our memory. So we have long-term memory and we have short-term memory. So there is something called RAM, which is random access memory, which means that it is there, on the surface. So I'd like to refer to that as maybe the conscious memory. It's like the conscious memory of, let's say, for example, that we have to conduct this session, the conscious memory of what I'm doing, the conscious memory of what I did yesterday. Now, what is the relevance of that in the practice of reflection and bringing the Bhagavad Gita into our life? The point is that one of the practices is to be aware of what we did. Okay, so dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha mama kim pandavascheva kim kurvata o sanjaya. That is what Dhritarashtra asks. So the practice is to remember and to recall everything that we did with reference to something in a particular day. And the idea is to think of how we would want to change some of that. And once we figured out how we want to change it, then in our mind, we are going to what I would call rewire the memory. Okay, so the memory is there. So suppose, for example, I yelled at somebody today. Okay, now the awareness is I yelled at somebody. Then the awareness is, okay, Sheetal, like I, the soul, and observing that Sheetal, the incarnated soul, Sheetal with her emotions and her mental body, yelled at someone today. Okay. Then I'm like, okay, so if I'm the soul, then this particular event was created through my memories and my emotions. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change them. Okay. So spiritual memory has a role in helping us to change. And we'll see how that works within a reflection. Okay. So the other part about memory is, when it comes to spiritual memory in particular, it's the understanding that we are a part of God, that we are God. And all this material stuff that is within us, not within us, but around us, causes us to forget the uh, the oneness with God. So what do we do for that? If you may have noticed, we very often do the uh, the soul affirmation. So the soul affirmation is a tool to help us to remember that we are the soul, that we are not the body. Okay, so the material delusion and the spiritual memory, that's what we're going to work with. Now, just to give a historical background, or at least what is provided in the Mahabharata, is that Chekitana is a Suryavanshi Chedi king, the king of the Kekayas, who allied with the Pandavas in the Kurukshetra war. So that's why one of this series is also called the Archers of Discrimination. So for discrimination, we also need to be aware of what was the event that took place. So if we don't remember what took place, then how do we make a change? Right now, that also doesn't mean that we hold on to things that cause us pain. So another technique that we practice in pranic healing is that we practice the technique of forgiveness. So if somebody hurts us, then we forgive them, right? Now, talking about forgiveness, Chekitana is also the son of Drishtaketu and the grandson of Shishupal. So if you remember the stories from the Mahabharata, basically that Shishupal was, I think, a cousin of Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna had told his mother that he will forgive a certain number of errors that Shishupal makes. And after he is done making those errors, Krishna will not spare him. Okay. So, what that sends a message to me is that the Supreme God, the avatars, are very tolerant when it comes to permitting us to make mistakes. And they do permit us a lot of mistakes. But there comes a point where, for the benefit of humanity, for the benefit of society, if this person, for example, Shishupal, was permitted to continue to make errors, then it's not good for him and it's also not good for society. So, therefore, in their divine wisdom, of the divine love of humanity, of the planetary evolution, Lord Krishna decided to kill Shishupal. Okay, now this brings me to another point also, that it talks about the fact that Chekitana was a Suryavanshi king. So, those of us who have read something about Hindu mythology, we are aware of the Chandravanshi and the Suryavanshi, right? So, one of the things that this triggered in my mind was that when we practice, for example, when we practice Kundalini yoga in the Arhatic yoga practice, we are aware of, the fact that there is a sun channel and a moon channel, in the sense that there is a warm channel and there is a cool channel, right? Also, for those of us who have ever practiced the mantra Om Namo Rama Om by Master Choa Kok Sui, he also mentions that these are the two energies that help to balance the system. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is, if you can close your eyes and let us just practice maybe one chant of, or one or two chants of Om Namo Rama Om. So please close your eyes. Connect your tongue to the palate. Let us be aware of the sun and the moon. Om Namo Rama. Om. Om Namo Rama. Om. Om Namo So this mantra is supposed to balance both sides of us, the cool side and the warm side, and bring us into balance. So this is something that you can chant. We also have the CD available in the center, so you can purchase that if you like to. Okay, so just a small tidbit. Chekitana is also the name of a Jat community, which is believed to originate from Uttar Pradesh and Punjab. I just found this on Wikipedia, so I thought it'd be interesting to share. Now, Chekitana is, representative of spiritual memories. So when we talk about memory, you may have noticed that sometimes one memory triggers many, 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 many interconnected memories. And if we are just aware, then we also are aware that this particular memory is related to other people, and then those people are related to other people. And so there is this entire, globe of memories and connections. So when we have all these lights working together, and so if our memories are pleasant, then what we are going to do is we are going to make the entire earth pleasant, right, with our memories. And if our memories are negative, then we are going to make, you know, different kind of changes. So again, Chekitana, the character, had a sister called Karenumati who married Nakul. Chekitana was killed by Duryodhan in the final day of the war. So what is the relevance of Chekitana and Karenumati? So water is considered to have memory, and water forms 70% of our body, which means that a lot of things that we experienced, is stored in our body as memories, and the water in our body stores memories. So the fact that he had a sister named Karenumati who's married to Nakul basically sends me the message that there is a connection between water, memory, and obviously between Nakul. Okay. Now, so today let's also do the I am affirmation now. So we are going to do the affirmation, I am the soul. And when I was again doing this presentation, the other thing that I remembered is that, you know, there's RAM is random access memory, but RAM also can, if pronounce Ram, then it's also the Lord Rama. So just a thought that came to my mind, that if we are constantly aware of, if it's not Lord Rama, that's okay, whichever deity that you believe in, if you have them constantly in our random access memory, in the upper areas of our memory, what helps us is that it helps us to regularly affirm and to maintain our strength. Okay, so let's do the soul affirmation and the invocation. Let's close our eyes, connect the tongue to the palate, inhale and exhale. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, we thank you for your priceless blessings, for divine light, divine love, divine guidance, divine love, memory, mercy, inner healing, physical healing. Thank you for the inner strength to practice regularly. Thank you for the divine help and protection, for illumination, abundance, and prosperity. I am that I am. I am not the body. I am not the emotions. I am not the thoughts. I am not the memories. I am the soul. I am a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, and divine power. I am one with my higher soul. I am that I am. I am one with the divine spark within me. I am a child of God. I am connected with God. I am one with God, and I am one with all. Inhale and exhale. Let's be aware of our soul, our memories, and let's practice inner reflection now. Let's be aware of some things that we did that are good memories. So when we do the Twin Hearts meditation, we are encouraged by Master Choa Kok Sui to think of a happy event and to re-experience it. So let's do that now. Let's think of a happy memory and let's feel it, experience it, bring it into the memory. From the memory, let's bring it into our thoughts, our emotions. Let's bring it into the physical body. We should be able to feel it. Feel the joy, the happiness. Okay. Now let's also think of something that we did during the course of the last 24 hours that we would like to change, that perhaps we could have done it differently, a different behavior, something else. Let's be aware of what we want to change, and let's mentally erase that pattern. Let's erase that pattern mentally. Remember, it's a thought, it's an emotion, it's a memory that we have created, so we can just remove it. Let's focus on one thing only. And then let's create the thoughts and emotions that we would prefer. Let's visualize ourselves doing the right thing with our hands, with our mouth, with our eyes, with our ears, with our skin. Let's have the thoughts and the emotions that support the situation in a positive way. So even if we are correcting somebody, let's do it with kindness and gentleness. If we are correcting ourselves, let's do that with kindness and gentleness also. So to me, the Bhagavad Gita represents the essence of this practice, the practice of inner reflection, and we'll just come to that soon. So there are rivers of water in the planet. So they are probably carrying many, and there's so much water on the planet, which is also carrying the memories of what the planet has been through. Then there's blood in our body, there's semen. So all these liquids are carrying memories. So there's a book by Masaru Emoto on water. If you want, you can look that up. It also talks about how talking to water or talking to liquid in a positive way really helps to change the crystalline structure of the water. So again, it's about awareness. And if we bless a glass of water and we drink it with positive thoughts and memories, then guess what? It's going into our body and to every cell. Okay. Okay, so the inner reflection is just what we did. I just wanted to share this slide because to me, when I was trying to practice inner reflection, I sometimes came across obstacles. And then when I started reading the Bhagavad Gita, which was many years ago, it kind of like dawned on me that this is a practice that the Bhagavad Gita propagates, and through the process of all the shlokas, we are basically it is being explained to us on the levels at which and how to actually do this, and many levels there are. Okay, so this is what we just did. So again, Dhritarashtra is the blind mind. So, when we are reflecting, we just need to be aware of it ourselves. We don't really need to tell anybody. Dharma Kshetra, Kurukshetra is basically our body, our emotions, our thoughts. Samaveta is, the collection. It's like, they're all assembled. The vices and the virtues are all assembled in this body, ready to fight. Who is ready to fight? Mamakam, which is the Kauravas, the Pandavas. What did they do? O Sanjaya. So the idea is to, be equanimous, to be able to think clearly and to be able to evaluate what did we do today and what did we want to change. Okay. So that's the inner reflection. Of course, we teach inner reflection starting from basic pranic healing all the way to Arhatic yoga. And the beauty is that sometimes what happens with people, they've shared that, it's like we get a lot of questions from our clients as to, what should I do? Should I do this? Should I do that? And one of the beauties of the pranic healing school and the Arhatic yoga school is that it's taught to us in a systematic manner where we can learn to take those own decisions ourselves rather than be dependent on somebody else. So one of the beauties of this particular school is that we believe in self-evaluation and to kind of like develop ourselves to an extent where we can ourselves be our own counselors. Because the risk is that if today you blindly believe me or believe anybody else, then tomorrow we may blindly believe, somebody else. So the idea is that we, the soul, I am the soul. So I am a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, and divine power. And I just have to find it. And once I find it, that's it.
Please unmute, Didi.
Let's be aware of our financial targets. Let's be aware of our crown, our heart, and our hands, our health target, our relationship target, and our spiritual target. Let's also now use our memory and think back a few months earlier before we started doing Twin Hearts together. What was our state of mind? What were our financial, emotional, health, and spiritual memories? Let's bless our targets with divine energy, with realism. Let's bless our targets in a manner that whenever we do anything at all, we are aware of the impact on our targets. So, for example, Master Choa Kok Sui says that if we want to be rich and wealthy, it is really important to practice loving kindness and ahimsa. So, yes, while we think of, okay, I want so much money or I want so much wealth, are we simultaneously also projecting loving kindness and talking with kindness and thinking kind thoughts about other people, including our employees, our family members? The secret to finances is in the heart, in love. Let's be aware of our relationship targets. Let's think back at some beautiful memories in certain relationships. They may be a little sour today, but perhaps they were sweet one day. This reminds me of the dish sweet and sour in Chinese. That's what life is about, ups and downs. We learn, we grow, we expand our heart. Let's be aware of our health target. Let's be aware that the memory in certain parts of the body may be causing us health issues. So let's be aware of certain memories, certain triggers, and let's use positive affirmations to change those memories, to transmute them, to understand that they were steps along the way. And today we are healthier, happier, and better. Let's also be aware of our spiritual target. Let's be aware of the spiritual memory. I am that I am. I am not the body. I am not the emotions. I am not the thoughts. I am the soul. Inhale and exhale. Once we're done, let's massage our face, our scalp, neck, shoulders, arms, chest, the back, the thighs. So I also wanted to just talk about this. This is the workshop called Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul. It is going to be released in online format soon, within the next 2 weeks. So this is another important workshop that helps us to revive our spiritual memory and to help us remember who we are and why we're here. So purpose of my life, purpose of my relationships, why am I here, why this, why that, all of that is sort of answered by the workshop Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul. The reason I say sort of is because it's one thing to know, it's a completely different thing to practice and to use the techniques to actually get to know, right? So we'll share the techniques with you, and then it depends on you. So thank you everyone for joining us. We will be continuing with our series, Discrimination, the Archers of Discrimination. So tomorrow, next week, I think we have King Virat. King Virat is the king in whose court the Pandavas spent the 13th year of exile. It's a very interesting topic, and I hope you'll enjoy it also. So see you next week. And those of us watching on YouTube, please subscribe to our video. If you have any comments, let us know. If there's something you'd like us to cover, let us know about that also. Thank you.